So we might just introduce and welcome everybody.
My dear brother. Good
day, everyone.
Yeah, good day.
Welcome to the International Youth Day 2021. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, hello.
Welcome to the International Youth Day 2021. Our topic today is on the ideal Nigerian youth. And our panelists, we have Mr. Solomon Adodo, who is the National President at the National Youth Council of Nigeria. And we have Tokida Semlek, who is the Field Officer at NatView Foundation for Technology Innovation. Then we have our moderator, Bodam Bagaya.
It's a pleasure having us here.
You're welcome.
Okay. We have to just start as soon as possible. I want to thank everyone for joining, for our attendees and our panelists. We have two panelists who currently at the commissioning of the power project in somewhere in Kaduna, who were supposed to be here as well, and because of the situation around it, will be joining us shortly. But meanwhile, I think we can actually do justice to the issues today Thank you very much, Mr. President, for joining us. It's a privilege to have you here to discuss this.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Commemorate. And Mr. Tokeda, thank you very much for joining on time.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
So I think my name is Buddha Bagaya as well. And we just want to have very real conversations, really. Beyond just being politically correct and always just, finding the nice words to say and things like that. We want to go beyond that to real conversations, the things that affect the young Nigerian, some of these issues, and I'm sure the attendees would attest to this. Young people really need to begin to speak to themselves, begin to actually ask themselves realistic questions, begin to put a lot of things in perspective, to know whether we're going to continue with the status quo or whether we just need to start doing something differently. And how do we do something differently is by starting. So I'm very sure that we'll do just this way. I would just want to, first of all, start by just giving the floor to the national president. I just want to ask a basic question about leadership. We are in a situation now where the young person feels like, I feel, anyway, this is my subjective opinion, that the young person feels neglected, feels sidelined. Someone said, since when we were born, they told us that we're the leaders of tomorrow. And this is today, when we're all adults, they're still telling us we're the leaders of tomorrow and today. So I just want to know what leadership actually is to you. What does it mean? What does it mean to be a leader beyond, when an average person, just when you say leadership, the person thinks about, say, you have to be a president, or you have to be a governor, or a senator, and all of that. Is that all leadership is about? For the young person, structures that we're building in terms of leadership and things like that. I just want to have your own perspective of what leadership means to the young person. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on this very great program talking about the ideal Nigerian youth. You see, leadership is about providing direction to a group of people and with the aim of attaining an objective. There should be a goal, there should be an objective. So you are providing direction to attain a certain objective. So if I lead, for instance, this conversation we're having, it's to see how I can coordinate with everyone and then we achieve the goals of this conversation, this discourse, which is to provide a clear direction or a new line of thought for Nigerian youth. So leadership is about giving direction, basically. And then leadership is about helping a group to attain its purpose or its objective. For our country, Nigeria, when we talk about leadership, the focus is principally on political leadership, how you can be in the government house as a governor, in the presidency, how you can be a senator or a member of the House of Representatives. We forget that leadership plays out in our everyday lives. And it is the extent to which we manage the little leaderships that we are trusted with that now determines the sail that, or the direction our sails are adjusted for the wind of greater leadership to blow us or to move us to new shores or new areas. So we find out that young men lead organizations, young men lead businesses, young men lead various areas of our national life. So when we talk about leadership, we should not only look at the political aspect, we should not neglect also economic leadership. We need young business leaders. And that's one area where Nigeria is in the deficit. If we look at developed countries today, we talk about people like Jack Ma. They didn't need to go and contest for an election. Their leadership began with their innovation, their inventive, systems. And then from there, they began to lead. And Jack Ma leads all over the world. He has people who he provides direction to in terms of issues of entrepreneurship. And he helps these people, guides them to attain their goal, to wit, becoming successful business leaders. We have other examples in the United States of America. We have other examples in Asia, and so on and so forth. So for us here in Nigeria, while we talk about political leadership, we should also ensure that we are better leaders on the business arena. Now, coming to the issue of political leadership, which is very important and significant, because the government formulates policies that provide a direction for the country. How can youth be involved in leadership? To be involved in leadership, we must first be prepared for leadership. We must get the requisite knowledge, we must know the political terrain, and we must also be equipped even on the financial front, because we tend to say we should not do money politics. But of course, even to convene a meeting, you need resources. So for leadership, Nigerian youth should begin to prepare for leadership. And when you prepare for leadership, when you refine yourself to a certain extent, the world will have no option but to adopt you. No matter the resistances, no matter the barricades, no matter the barriers, you will be ushered into the arena of leadership. So for us at the National Youth Council, our message to the Nigerian youth is that we should consistently prepare ourselves, refine ourselves, hone our leadership potentials, and above all, we should maintain the spirit of true patriotism that puts the nation first. When we put the nation first, we'll discover that there will still be hurdles, there will still be challenges, but then our patriotism will pave the way for us to get to the front lines.
Thank you very, very much for your insights. We really appreciate these insights on leadership, very profound about the Nigerian young person actually refining his or herself to the extent in which we can be reckoned with other parts of the world, positioning ourselves. Speaking to that, I just want to turn over to Mr. Tufida, and I just want to find out your opinion on the failure of the older generation to pass the baton to the younger generation. What do you think is the situation? What beyond, sometimes I feel that it is important to step out of this scenario and actually just look at it without sentiments, without biases, and just look at what really is the issue. Why do we have lesser people? Why do we have for lack of a better word, lack of transfer, of leadership or whatever, or skill sets, from one generation to another? Why is there this disconnect? Why? The question is why, Mr. Tufida.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bodam. Thank you for having me. Also, thank you, Mr. President. I greet you.
Thank you.
Mr. Solomon, the president, did justice to the leadership, talking about full-fledged leadership. So mine is looking at the transfer of leadership. So I'll look at it this way, that leadership is sweet in the Nigerian context. Leadership is sweet. And I remember a governor in this country, Nigeria, that's the person of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, made a profound statement as regards this, that addressing the young people right now, saying, if you think we will just give you that chance, then it's not possible. So you have to involve yourself to get that. So the question is, are young people ready for that leadership position? But then, so let me streamline this. He has, Mr. Solomon has done justice, making us look at leadership in other aspects, not just in the political arena, like everybody see. But in Nigeria today, when you talk about leadership, people look at the political set, the political sector, the political aspect of leadership. So in terms of transferring power, now are we ready as Nigerian youth? Are we ready to be among the policy formulators? Are we ready to drive change? It's a question that needs an answer. How ready are we? And in terms of youth, thank God for the Not Too Young to Run bill, which was put into act. With the struggle of Yaiga and co as regards achieving this, it has actually aroused the interest of young people into political leadership. But then, are we still ready? Yeah, yes or no? It's a thing of yes or no. So just like Mr. Solomon said, leadership has to do with resources. So do young people have that resources to be in that spirit of leadership? It's a question for another day. But then, how many? So I have a problem with young people when it comes to political leadership now. Now, my major problem is this: how many young people do have a PVC for just the first step? How many young people have a PVC, which will make them to vote or possibly be voted for? Now, how many young people belong to a political party? We see appetite in politics among young people these days, reason because of the narrative that politics is dirty, politics is this, just the wrong notion that people have about politics. And that's the reason I see young people running away from politics. But then it's not that. If we do run away from it, how do we effect that change? And that is why you see the older generation are leveraging on this notion or on this narrative that politics is dirty to keep on leading us, or rather to keep on governing us. But then, but then, I see young people setting up new political parties. Like in Nigeria today, I know we have more than 100 or 91 political parties. How would that happen if we really want to effect that change? If we really want to have that shift of transfer, why can't we have a thought force? Why can't we have a thought force of young people that can change this? Okay, remember in October last year, during the NSAS protests and all that, it was on the basis of NSAS, but at the same time, it showed a clear signal to the older generation that these young people are ready for something. So let me end here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Tukida. Well, it's a lot of questions, really, a lot of questions, and these are questions that I hope we would be able to have answers to, because so a lot of young people would say yes, they are ready for leadership, and we have examples where you give a young person a leadership position, and the person is actually not different from the older generation.
So it's about capability, not the age now.
We have replete examples of this around the nation, and so it stems down, which is why actually we started with the question of leadership, because beyond just being in a leadership being defined as leadership in a leadership position, I'm thinking leadership, what the qualities, go out, and which is actually what leads us to the next question, because what is now the ideal picture of a role model? And I think maybe both of you will have to put in a little word into this question. What is that ideal picture of a positive role model? I mean, what are the attributes, that a young person should have that qualifies or sort of puts him on a pedestal where he can be at the helm of affairs, in a particular group? And I say this beyond just being in political leadership. I mean, what are these attributes? What are these values that we need to see in our young people today? I don't know, Mr. President, I want to go first, and then. Peter can respond.
Okay, thank you very much for that question, and thank you very much to my colleague brother for your deep insight thus far. Now, great thinkers like Miles Monroe of blessed memory and John C. Maxwell have done a good job on the subject of leadership. And then one thing they look at is attitude. And in one point, we are told that attitude is everything. I'll bring some key features that should be there in a leader or one who wants to serve, because leadership is service. And if you are leading by serving, the first step is to have the attribute of humility. That is one. Then, for the task at hand, there must also be that ingredient of competence, because you cannot say you want to lead people and you are not competent. You've never seen sheep leading lions, because the sheep is not competent to lead an aggressive force. So you've got to be a lion. You've got to exude the strength of a lion to lead lions. So competence is there, humility is there, and in competence, you must be well versed with the terrain of leadership, because today we have so many young men who, just like the parable of the sower, wake up overnight and say, hey, we want to be president, oh, we want to be governor, because the Not Too Young to Run bill has passed into law and it's now an act permitting us to run for governorship at this age. Then they go and they say they want to pick up forms. And then at the end of the day, to move from point A to point B, no logic, no calculation. You must be roundedly competent. And you must be willing to serve. You must be willing to effect a change. You must identify a problem and be willing to bring a solution, and a superior solution from a superior point of argument or view. Then you must also have a way. I'm just trying to elaborate on all of these things rather than highlighting, saying this, that. The two things I've highlighted, competence and humility, then fused with that willingness to serve. But then you must know how to snake your way through. When you're talking of political leadership, which now is where we've narrowed down, you see that on the arena of leadership, you have men and women who are old enough to be your fathers, men and women who are money bags, men and women who have deep knowledge, wisdom, experience, cunning. So how much of this do you have? What strategy are you bringing on board? Are you just coming on board the leadership train to say, oh, I'm a young man, I'm in my 30s or in my 40s, so I should be this? And then we have a wrong narrative as young Nigerians when we want to come to the leadership table. We say we are going to flush out the older generation. We are going to flush them out. They are useless, they are meaningless, they failed, and so on and so forth. Leadership is a continuum. So even the failures could be part of the success, because we must learn from them. Those who failed, what are the factors? Were there pitfalls along the way? Were there potholes along the way? So there is a lesson to also learn from the older generation of leaders. So the ideal Nigerian youth preparing himself for leadership should be humble, should be competent on multiple fronts, and above all, should be willing to serve patriotically. So when you've got these features, then you can begin to go. Consult with the elders, consult with the younger generation, identify the problems of society, the niche of leadership where you want to fit in, and then see how to bring superior solutions to those areas. For instance, in Nigeria today, we are faced with the issues of insecurity. So what difference are we going to make if we take the front seat in leadership. For instance, if I'm running for the House of Representatives, what will I do to impact on my constituents positively to ensure that they are more secure? We are faced with the issue of rising food prices. This year's International Youth Day has been themed along the lines of food security. So what are we doing to ensure that more young Nigerians have access to quality food at affordable prices? What are we going to do? What engagement? We're talking about youth innovations for human and planetary health when we are talking about this year's International Youth Day. So what innovative edge? We're talking about innovations. As young Nigerians, we should be innovative. What innovative edge are we bringing? So when we come to the table of leadership, or when we seek to take our stand on the arena of leadership, we should not just come with a sense of entitlement. And for me, as a young Nigerian, I will support young people to leadership, but I will not support a young man who has no content. So the ideal Nigerian youth who is preparing himself should be competent. He should have content. He should have a superior point of entry, of argument. What change are you coming to offer? Not to tell me that, oh, I am young, I am energetic. Power is nothing without control. Energy can be destructive as well as it can be productive. So these are clear points we need to begin to look at.
Yeah.
But I think anybody following this should be able to pick a few lessons. If we must take our place, then competence is the key thing, humility and the willingness to serve.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, President. For the attendees, it would be good to know that your questions and comments can be put in as we begin to look at rounding up this webinar. Someone just put in from Kenneth Adaba. He said, leadership isn't a skill, it is an embedded trait one is born with, which can only reach its full potential when well harnessed, groomed under the ideal environment. Well, that's a comment from one of our attendees. Mr. Tokeda, please. Speaking to this same point about the ideal picture of a positive role model, what are the things that you would want to see? What are these attributes that young persons, to add to what President said? Hello, are you there?
Mr. President has done justice on that. Good role model should be dynamic. That is, they should be progressive. You are driving people. You are driving people to move forward. You're leading people and driving them to move forward. A good leader or a good role model should be positive-minded. They should be positive-minded person, irrespective of the negativity attached to political leadership positions and all that. But he should be positive mindset towards achieving his goal of being a good leader. He should have a positive mindset, And also, he should be service-oriented. You are in the leadership position to serve people, not to be served. But we see the older generation, we see some of our present leaders having that opposite attribute of being served. Instead, they forgot that leadership, as a leader, you are a servant. I remember a particular governor addressed himself as the servant of the people. He understood what leadership is all about. You are being elected to serve, not to be served. So as a young leader, that narrative must be changed. Also, you should be a good leader or a good role model should be someone who is accountable. who can be held accountable. Accountability should be a very, very key word in that aspect. Like I look at what is happening right now. Some states have this open government partnership policy where whatever they do, it's in the public domain. Thank God for the FOI Act right now, even though some states have not adopted that. But then we are beginning to see the FOI as one of the tools to hold our leaders accountable. And it all boils down to the open government partnership, which some states are yet to have handled that too. And just like he said, a leader must be humble, very, very humble. Humility is a key watchword for that. And also, you must be innovative. You must be ready to drive change. A good leader, a good role model must be ready to drive change. That's change we want to see. That change we want to see. That change we want to feel in politics. That change must be there. You must be ready, irrespective of the challenges. Though hello, can you hear me?
Clear.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So you must be ready to drive change. And also, a good leader must be a problem solver. Hey, in Nigeria today, we have so numerous problems. And I tell you, if you have a solution to those problems, you're good to go. We have numerous problems. And I know as a leader, you can't do it alone. Then you must be ready to have great team that will make you achieve that. Also, a good leader must be focused, irrespective of the distractions happening. Because I know in political leadership, there's what we call these godfatherism factors, which sometimes they tend to distract with some negative issues, vibes and all that. But then as a leader, you must be focused. And also a good leader must have a sustainability plan. If you're not there, how will you impact? How do you impact on the younger generation? Or how do you impact on your subordinates or your subjects? When you're not there, they can take charge of that. So sustainability plan is very, very key. That is why I see today, I encourage youth development programs. Every state should adopt that. Having a youth development program, most especially in terms of leadership. We have, there's this young man, though I won't call him a young man though, Linus Okori, doing great things in the city of Abuja there with his Godney. That's a leadership programs. And also we have my governor in Kaduna State here with the Sir Kashim Ibrahim leadership program. Now, these are programs that geared towards having a sustainability plan. If you are not there today, you have a young people to hold that position. So, and such things will arouse young people into going into leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tukida. That was some very good insights from you. Just quick questions that are coming in. A question from Karen, saying who would lead the grooming and in which environment? So who will lead this grooming? I mean, who will kind of like facilitate the grooming of leaders and in which environment? You know, and a comment from another person, Idris, saying youth need support from government or any stakeholder to enable them grow. Well, I think for me, I would just think that the part of the reason why we are starting, why we do what we do, you know, even as Youthcosum Management, is to begin to look inwards and beyond just looking at government. I mean, I feel the time has come for young people to begin to collaborate with each other, you know,
Absolutely.
to remove all types of bias from come from religious, ethnic, all these biases. We need to come leverage on our competencies and get shared interests and move ourselves forward, because it begins to look to me like it's already too late for the young generation. This is my opinion. But would you want to respond to these questions? Who would want to respond to who would lead this grooming and what environment?
All right, let me say, okay, let me just say it starts from you. You can do it. So start, no matter how small, no matter where you are from. So the dependence on government and all these leadership issues, it's one of the major challenges young people have. Like looking at the entertainment industry. Entertainment industry thrived without government support. Technology space is booming right now. No 100% government support, but then young people are driving to see that change, to make that impact, to solve technological-based problems, irrespective of whether government is in supportive or not. So dependence on government I say should be, if possible, 20%, even though that enabling environment is key, but then it starts from you. Wherever you are, at your own local community, you can start to effect that change.
Thank you very much. President, would you want to respond to that as well?
I think it's been touched clearly. He has done clear justice to it. It begins with you, because in everything we tend to say government. Maybe you could even have water in front of you and you say, no, I need government to drink. Leadership, there are various avenues, estuaries, opportunities of leadership. What we're doing is also that grooming process. So people who want to learn leadership could key in here, and then we should get youth that are ready to pay the price. You read, you study, we groom ourselves. My brother Tikido here will tell you what he has passed through to be where he is. He has educated himself, not only through the four walls of the university, because the average Nigerian, you just goes to the university. Once I get my degree and I get my master's and I get my whatever certificate, I go fold my arms and I say, I'm this and I'm that, and I should lead because I have this and that. How many books have you read? Apart from reading, have you sat down to masticate the words in those books, chew them with your mental teeth, and try to see how they can be practiced in real life? It's not the length or the volumes of what you read or what you study, but the little one, ponder on it and be determined, groom yourself. And in your area, wherever you are, build other people around. And then before you know it, we have a mass movement. They say a tree can never make a forest, but there are forests that owe their existence to just one tree. How does it happen? That tree grows, disperses her seeds, and other trees grow from there. And before you know it, other trees are sprouting up. And as you are diligently dispersing your seed, don't be surprised. There could be other trees in the horizon over there also dispersing their seeds. And before you know, you have a flourishing forest. So for young Nigerian leaders, don't be dissuaded, don't be disenchanted or discouraged. Whatever you're doing, do it diligently. And then patriotism should be the watchword. In the quest for leadership, honesty, how can I make society a better place? It should not be about me, me, me. Real leadership is about us, putting the people and collective goals, the commonwealth, the common good, putting it first. And that's why you find out that developed societies have so developed because their leaders did it the right way. They put their societies first. But here we have people who put SUVs first, who put gold and dollars stashed in latrines and septic tanks. They put them first and then see where we are. So for us, the next generation, Nigerian youth, or the current generation of leaders, let's rise to the task. Let's tell ourselves that leadership has already begun. We are not waiting for anything. We are not waiting for tomorrow. From where we are, we should begin to assert ourselves As president of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, I should be speaking and be doing all within my powers, irrespective of the hurdles, because even presently at the Youth Council, we are faced with challenges, but we are moving on.
Okay.
We'll discover that everything is open for us and we are on the front lines of leadership for our country.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much for your insights. These conversations will continue. We actually need to continue these conversations because it should be at the forefront of the minds of the young person to begin to sort of change the narrative, to begin to let us know that things cannot continue to be the way they are. There has to be some form of change. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. There is a need to begin to find a different approach, a different mindset or disposition towards things. I really thank you for your insights. Some more questions have been coming in, but I think we've somehow come very close to the end of this webinar. I believe the start of the beginning of a series of webinars where we actually get think tanks like our panelists, you know, so we can actually do justice to this, begin to sensitize our young people so that we can actually come together and begin to look inwards. The goal for us is to get young people to actually look inwards, to collaborate amongst themselves, look inwards and begin to find solutions to these problems that are ravaging our society. Thank you so much for your time today. If there is any other question that you have that we need to attend to, if there isn't, I would just want to have our last words from our panelists. Last words from anything that we've spoken so far. Would you want to say to the young person? I mean, if you have a message or something that's personal that you want to direct to the fellow young person in Nigeria to mark this International Youth Day. Mr. Tukida, I think you might have to go first.
Okay, thank you very much. What I would just say to the young people is this: just keep being focused, keep being focused, keep being focused. The road is not going to be easy. It will never be easy, but then keep being focused because the goal is there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you. Mr. President, Mr. Adodo, you want to final
Yes. All Nigerian youth, I want to use this auspicious occasion of the International Youth Day to remind you that the task of moving Nigeria forward rests on your shoulders.
Yeah, I think we have a little network glitch, but I guess Mr. Adodo was saying the task of building Nigeria lies on our shoulders, something along that line. If we have him back before the turn of an hour, that would be fine. And or if we do not, I could just go on and say, I really want to thank everyone for joining in today. It was an insightful conversation on this webinar. I look forward to a time where we will be able to have young people actually looking inwards and beginning to change their own narrative. I mean, changing narrative even from your immediate cluster. So beyond just looking at it from somewhere abstract, from your immediate cluster, being able to, change and yes, to change your narrative, to be able to influence change, be an influencer where you are, and make things happen because the time is now. I mean, if we do not make things happen as young people, I don't think we would have an opportunity. We would. I lack I doubt if we would have the opportunity to even tell our kids the story, because the whole trajectory will be lost. Mr. Solomon, if you are back, you want to put some words before we turn the hour one?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. My words, because I had to change power source. The task of building the new Nigeria rests on our shoulders. Let's not remain focused. Let's bring our best potentials to the table and transform these potentials to productivity. We can bet a new Nigeria, and together we should make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I'll turn over to Joanne, who would close the session for us. Thank you very much for everyone for joining in. Look forward to having another session like this shortly.
Thank you, Bodan.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We hope to bring you guys for another event soon. You're welcome to Youthcosum, and thanks for joining into the International Youth Day.
Always
all our
pleasure.
panelists, thank you so much. And the attendees, we're very grateful. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Yeah.